Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview Sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be joined by Zach Shefska, co-founder and CEO of CarEdge, a platform dedicated to reforming the automotive retail experience through radical transparency, consumer empowerment, and digital innovation. Zach, thanks so much for joining us.
That sounded nice, Seth. I like that. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started?
Man, 6 years ago, I was working at a small startup company, and I felt like I had hit my ceiling. And growing up, I had a relationship with my dad that was pretty tenuous, to say the least. He was always working. But I was at this company, I'd spent 5 years there, and every night I started calling him on my drive home, Seth, and he would just say, like, stick it out, you're making good money, don't leave this company. I was a college dropout, he was a college dropout. One night he finally breaks, he says, okay, how can I help you? And I said, Dad, I want to help people buy cars. You sold cars for 43 years. And you always help me buy a car. Like, I don't know what it looks like, but I want to help people buy cars. And there's a lot more texture to the story. Unfortunately, I lost my mom, which led to my dad finally retiring because he didn't have to pay medical bills and all that fun stuff. But it really came rooted out of my dad, his willingness to be able to take his expertise and help me, start this business. And it started as a YouTube channel, of all things, Seth, just a YouTube channel helping people learn how to buy cars, making my dad a little YouTube celebrity, which was quite fun.
Awesome. So what does CarEdge do now?
So nowadays we've got a couple different things we're up to. First is the media side. So we have the YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram, all that fun stuff where millions of people every month watch our content. And that is just us teaching you how to buy a car. Then we have products and services. So some of the products would be data that you can use to inform your negotiation with the dealership. So information that helps on that front. We've also built an AI negotiator, which is starting to take off, which is really cool. So as a user, maybe you don't want to fill out a lead gen form and have a dealership calling you and emailing you and having to do all the negotiations yourself. You can have an AI agent do that on your behalf. We also have a concierge car buying service. So we've hired a bunch of former salespeople, sales managers, and things like that. So you get paired up with a buddy who does all that work on your behalf for the trade-in, the finance, and the leasing, et cetera. So it's kind of soup to nuts from you want to just get some education all the way through to someone will do it for you.
That is awesome. What gaps did you identify in the auto retail space that led you to invent this?
I mean, no one likes buying a car. I remember the first time I looked at Gallup's annual trustworthiness of profession poll. And back in 2019, when I started working on CarEdge, the lowest rated in terms of trustworthiness was car salesperson. It was right there with lobbyist. Now, today it's a little bit different. We've got congressperson up there at the #1 spot in terms of lack of trust. But that was the gap I identified, was that people do not trust a car salesperson. And then I looked at my dad, who, obviously I did not grow up seeing him that often. He would always work what he would call half days, which were 12-hour days. And I really resented that aspect of him, but I knew he was loving and trusting and caring. And especially watching my mom endure her challenge with cancer, like, my dad was a great man, is a great man. And so I hated this idea that car salespeople weren't trusted, and that made the process terrible. But there were good people in the industry. That being said, the perception is reality, and a lot of car salespeople and dealerships do take advantage of folks, and I really wanted to level that playing field. Doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter how you present yourself, you should be able to get a fair deal, and that's the crusade I've been on ever since.
It's quite a crusade, and it sounds kind of contrarian because you talk about you're not trying to eliminate car dealerships, but empower them. How do you convince car dealerships to embrace transparency and like the long-term vision that you're promoting?
Think about my business model. I don't charge a single dealer a monthly subscription fee or generate any revenue from the dealership side. I've actually been incredibly contrarian. I charge customers for the privilege of getting help to buy a car. One of the biggest challenges that my dad identified to me is that you would get all these leads coming into the dealership, but the close rate would be terrible. And you're paying for the privilege of getting those leads from various third-party providers. It's a huge cost infrastructure component for dealerships, as well as a pain point and frustration. Not to mention, obviously, you and me, Seth, we've probably filled out a lead gen form or two in our lives. It sucks. It's not fun. And so going to the industry side and saying, hey, there is not a fee that you pay to be a participant in the CarEdge ecosystem. Instead, we're actually sending you customers who have paid money for the privilege of buying a car. Shocker, that resonates. Maybe the deals don't have as much gross profit because the customer is informed about how to negotiate or handle the conversation, but the deal also gets done significantly faster. And in this environment, a lot of dealerships are very interested in being volume dealers, moving the metal. And so I think it's a way to really disrupt and change how this ecosystem operates. And I'm really passionate about it. I think ultimately it's beneficial to be more transparent and less opaque.
So, in an industry where the profits have historically been driven by secrecy or negotiation tactics, how do you balance the sustainability with the commitment to like fairness and transparency?
Yeah, I think it's a really fair point. I mean, the idea that dealerships make money selling new cars is actually a fallacy. They make money selling finance and insurance products. I mean, there was a period of time, I want to be very clear, during the pandemic with markups and addendums and things like that. Like dealers were making a lot of money selling new and used cars, but dealerships make a ton of money in finance and insurance. I'm not a finance company. I'm not an insurance company. So there's still opportunities there for us to bring even more products to market or more transparency. We're myopically focused on just that transaction being more fair at the right price, and obviously informing and arming the consumer with, hey, what do I do when it comes to financing the car? Have you contacted your local credit union? What do you do on the insurance side with that warranty? Do I need it? Do I not need it? So I've really tried to stay in my lane, Seth, which is we're going to give you all the knowledge you need for the full soup to nuts experience, but we're going to hone in on just making sure you get a fair deal on the new or used car, making sure that part's going well, and then arming and empowering the consumer around it. I think the auto industry probably wouldn't like me as much if I spent all my time on, finance, but finance is a behemoth and maybe a story for another day.
Fair enough, but I got to ask, I get that you can negotiate the purchase of a new or used car. Can you negotiate a lease?
Yeah, absolutely. There's three components to a lease. There's the capitalized cost, which is essentially the selling price. There's the money factor, which is the interest component of the lease. And then there's the slip of my mind here, cap cost, money factor. Oh my, Seth. Cost, money factor. Oh, the taxes and fees. Sorry. You can't negotiate the taxes and fees, but you can negotiate the capitalized costs and you can negotiate the money factor. The money factor is the interest portion. So, there's two out of those three pieces that you can actually negotiate at the dealership, and you absolutely should.
And then what happens when I go, like, let's say I go to turn my car in, and they're telling me, oh, hey, you need new tires. And I'm like, do I really want to put new tires on when I'm gonna turn this thing in a couple months? Like,
Hey man, there's a whole different version of CarEdge in the future that's full spectrum soup to nuts. I mean, think a little bit. We've built an AI agent that negotiates car deals. I think there's a future state where there's an always on AI agent that knows if you need the new tires, that knows if you need the new brake pads. But I think there's a lot of opaqueness in other parts of the auto industry that in due time, I would love to put some energy towards to make it more fair for consumers.
that's awesome. So how does your AI negotiator work? Is it like a GPT that's telling me what to say, or how is it directly interacting with the dealership? How does that work?
So it's been super interesting. We launched this back in July, and I've learned a lot about agency versus control. How much agency do you give the agent versus how much control do you give the user? The first version that we put out into the market is full 100% agency mode, aka that agent is talking to the dealership on your behalf. You can interface with your agent, but it's going to text and email with the dealership. And by interface, I mean you can tell your agent additional context, like, hey, I actually don't have the military, recent military history that you said I did to get that extra $500 rebate. We have seen that one before. But then the control side of things would be coming soon to our product is a review and edit functionality. So instead of being in autonomous mode, you can be in review and edit mode. So as a user, I can have more control. I can review the message that my agent is suggesting that we send and actually edit that before I hit send. So it's a full spectrum, Seth, of how much agency versus how much control. And right now we've leaned in really heavy on agency, and we've learned, okay, maybe some users want a little bit more control.
That is absolutely amazing. And I gotta believe that you're becoming a giant data source as well of all that is probably very valuable in terms of all that you're gleaning from all the interactions.
100%. I love to share the story that the way I got to the CEO of Ford Direct was because I made a YouTube video that went viral titled, I contacted 100 Ford dealers trying to buy the same truck. Here's what happened. That data just from that video was so valuable over at Ford Direct, which is the marketing services arm of Ford, that I got to the CEO. And so we're doing that now, not for 100 dealers. I mean, we've got 3,000 paying customers for the agent. We've deployed the agent 20,000 plus times. There's 150 data points per interaction that we are collecting. There's no fat fingering, there's no opinions, it's just a computer system. So, no, I think the data set here gets me very excited as an entrepreneur because there's a lot of moat around that and a lot of opportunities to leverage that information to drive change.
I was going to say there's also cross monetization opportunities from other vendors. The technology that you've built could be applied to other things besides cars, right?
Totally could. Yeah. I would just say I'm not the greatest entrepreneur in terms of staying focused. So I'm actually like incredibly proud of myself that we've just stayed focused on cars. Thank goodness the brand is CarEdge, not just like Edge, or else we'd be having a real field day over here. But no, there's tons of applications for kind of the bare bones of what we've built. But my focus, my intention is just, I mean, there's 50 million cars that are going to get sold retail this year, new and used. I want to touch them. I want to touch all those transactions and I want to level the playing field.
That is absolutely incredible. Tell me a little bit about the partnerships. You've got some interesting partnerships in the industry. Can you talk about those?
Sure. I mean, we work with CarMax on the sell your cars side. So there are some examples of existing brands that have tried to be really, forward thinking in terms of customer experience. So really lucky to have a partner in them on that front. On the warranty side, there are some innovative companies there. There's a company called Fair, a relatively new startup that's, their whole pitch is why should you be buying a product that's being hawked by Ice-T and celebrities like that? And it's a pretty grungy, slimy product, the warranty, and they're trying to clean up that space. So we've found these like-minded partners who want to bring transparency and want to bring customer experience up. And we've decided there are opportunities for us not to compete with them on that product line, but rather just partners. So it's really great to see other operators out there that think similarly to how I do.
That is awesome. With all the success you've achieved, I mean, what's your biggest challenge now?
Oh man, I don't know if we've achieved that much success. I always feel like there's more to be done. Biggest challenge? I don't know. Trying to make sure I go for my run in the morning, trying to make sure I don't work over the weekend, like trying to live a normal life amidst trying to also build a really fast growing company. I'd say like for me personally, that's a challenge. And I think for the business, it's going to be finding that intersection of I'm passionate about always having a human in the loop. I don't see AI as replacing everyone and everything. And so I think navigating that's going to be a challenge for us as well. Like what role does AI play long term? How involved is it? Where are the humans in the loop? I think that's a challenge. I think it's one I'm really excited to navigate.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, a dealer could have an agent that is negotiating with your agent.
You sound like some of the conversations I have. I mean, there's a lot of VC dollars right now being poured into the industry side of agentic commerce, aka a sales agent for the dealership. And so I'm on the other side, one of the few operators building what does the buyer's agent look like, and how do we combine those worlds in a way that does not just perpetuate and exacerbate the existing environment of let me go ask my manager, let me go ask my manager. I mean, there's a way to really rethink cost infrastructure here and make the industry more efficient. And I'm very passionate about that, obviously. I mean, at my core, that's why I care about this, is because my dad wasn't around. Like, if we can sell a subset of cars without having to go through all the rigmarole, like that's a huge win for the industry and obviously for consumers.
That is awesome. As you mentioned, your passion is very, very obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
He has to do with my dad. Yeah, I mean, he's 74, retired. Obviously, my mom passed away. Like, this is where he gets meaning in his life. And it could all fail tomorrow, but it's been it's been great either way. Like, it's given us a lot of purpose and connected us. So I love that. And I love our team. I work with people who really bust their butts, and that gets me fired up.
That is awesome. For our folks who are watching or listening, where is the best place for them to go to learn more?
So we have a website, caredge.com. If you're interested in the AI stuff, caredge.com/AI, you can learn about that. And then we're all over social media. Humbling, we have over 1 million followers from teaching people how to buy cars. So just search CarEdge on any of the platforms and it should pop right up. And if you like me, I have my own personal website, shefska.com, SHEFSKA.com, where I talk about some of the things I've learned along the way.
That is awesome. Well, we greatly appreciate your time. We know it's been incredibly valuable. This has been Seth Greene here with Zach Shefska of CarEdge. Zach, thanks again for joining us.
Do you remember the three parts of a lease, Seth?
Capital cost, finance, and taxation.
Let's go. He did it better than me. Thank you, Seth. Appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.